Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I'd like to start with the COVID data for the city and the schools. And just a note, as discussed in a previous report, this will be my last report linking all the state data unless I see a reason to notify the school committee of any COVID-related data or trends in the schools or community. Our positive cases at MPS by date, and this is just kind of a moment in time that I've been providing this report to the school committee. So over the past couple of weeks, we've had very low cases. On the 23rd, we had 9 cases in total. On the 30th of March, we had 5. And on April 6th, we had 2. We are continuing to see a low number of cases in the school. There's also a low number of cases in the city. As the time I pulled the report, there was 20 active cases in the city. The state numbers all showed slight upticks with the BA2 variant, which is now the dominant variant in Massachusetts and New England. However, we haven't seen any large increases in numbers in the school department. For my second item, I just want to say thank you to the Honorable Judge Megan Spring. Earlier this year, the Honorable Judge Megan Spring offered her time to partner with the Marlborough Public Schools in a meeting with our Mayor, Arthur Vigil. Our History and Social Studies departments at the First Lieutenant Charles W. Whitcomb Middle School jumped into action and began a wonderful series of learning experiences for our students. Judge Spring taped an interview for our students to watch in class to learn more about the workings of a courthouse and the legal system. The title of the project was Your Essential Courtroom Questions Answered, and this now provides wonderful real-life examples to our curriculum moving forward. I did provide a link, but I'm sure many of you saw this link to our social media and other accounts as well. Judge Spring also took the time to meet with our entire 8th grade to present and answer questions from our students on the morning of March 29th. Joe Morin producing highlights of the event to be shared as well. Judge Spring captivated the crowd and answered many important questions from our student body. This local partnership is a powerful example of how state and local governments working together to teach our kids about the legal system and to put a human touch on complex issues of rights and process. My hope is we can continue this partnership and expand upon this effort to educate our students about the courts. Judge Meg Spring truly deserves recognition for her effort and dedication to help us bring this curriculum to life and to make it such an interactive learning process for our students. Mayor Vigil and I sent a letter of recognition to the Honorable Chief Justice Paul Daly to the Commonwealth to recognize the efforts of Judge Spring has put forth.
Now, the students realize this is the atmosphere they want to see her in, not where she's working, right?
Everyone does, and she did a wonderful job. And I believe, I don't want to put her in a bad position, but I believe she already agreed to come back next year.
Right.
So I'm very excited about that.
No, she's been great.
Yep. Also, a big thank you to Mr. Jerome Jennings and Mr. Aaron Bush. A quote from Mr. Verdone I'd like to share. The work that Mr. Jennings did with our students yesterday will not only make them better musicians, but make them better people. This opportunity came from our work with Mr. Bush during February vacation. For him to honor us with this experience means the world to myself and our students. Thank you again to Foxborough, thank you to Mr. Jennings, and thank you to Mr. Verdone for bringing this opportunity to Marlborough. I know many of you also got to see this experience. I didn't know if you wanted to share some of your experience with it as well at this time, but what a wonderful opportunity for our students to learn firsthand from an expert in the field of jazz.
Well, I can tell you one thing. For a brief period of time, I was back being a music teacher again and not a school committee person. It was really, the intense look on the kids' faces, they were definitely getting everything. And to see what happens when a real professional tells them something that's not the same person they're used to hearing from all the time, and to do it in a different light, and especially in the kind of light that Mr. Jennings brings it, was to me just great. I really was back. Brought me back to the days when I remember why I did that job in the first place. It was fantastic for me. I was so happy to be there.
Okay. Thank you. Just a note. Sorry.
I had the honor of being there as well, and it was the eyes of the children, young adults, can't call them children, it was just amazing. They were just in awe of this instructor that just, and everything he said to them, you could hear they took every word and just, it was a compliment. There was never a criticism. It was always how to get to the next step and learn. And Mr. Verdone was taking notes through the whole thing, and the kids were taking notes on their music, and they all went back and they worked 10 times harder just to be able to do it again. So a big thank you for that partnership and the experience for those kids.
So thank you very much, Mr. Bush. Thank you, Foxborough. Thank you, Mr. Jennings. Obviously, thank you, Mr. Verdone and Mr. Rosenthal. Everyone did a great job. And thanks to the kids for being willing to be on stage and having an audience while they're receiving feedback, which isn't always the easiest thing in the world to do. And they did a great job. Just a note, we want to thank the NEASC visiting team. We want to extend our thanks to them for their commitment to giving us feedback on our high school program. I do look forward to receiving their report in the coming months. And a last note that didn't make the agenda, my fault, I didn't put it on my report, but the Citywide Art Show, which is a treat, is tomorrow from 5:30 to 7:30 at Whitcomb. I encourage everyone to go. It is one of the highlights of the year for me. Sorry. Sorry, Mary, I took it out of yours, but I had to mention it at least once.
All right, check.
And that's my report, Mr. Mayor.
I unfortunately can't go to it, but it stays up in the middle school for a couple of weeks. I can go.
Going down on Main Street, too.
So, Mrs. Baker will be at the next meeting, and she'll be talking about the virtual show and about the display that's happening in June as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And it will be up for a couple of days. I don't know if they leave it too long.
There's a board meeting. Okay.
We're not cutting the grass around the pitches this year. So I told him
Oh,
arrange it,
she's gonna do the
so we cut the
signs.
grass.
Yeah.
Put them
Oh,
up.
I
Before we
ruined-
ready to cut it again, take them down.
I ruined a pair of shoes. It was so wet and mushy, and I was going to see the whole thing, and I had to throw out my shoes at the end. That's great. Thank you.
Ms. Murphy,
Thank you. Principals Ron Sanborn, Angela House, and Dan Riley, Supervisor of Humanities Jody Reyes, Director of EL Pre-K to 12 Lynn Medallion, Whitcomb teacher Jennifer Ryan, Marlborough High School teacher Susan Charpentier, and I have been participating in a 12-week literacy leadership training. Our focus for this year will be to create a secondary literacy plan for the district. Last week, teachers at Whitcomb and Marlborough High School were asked to complete a survey that will help us identify priority areas of focus in our literacy plan. Next year, we will begin offering secondary teachers additional professional development to support our students to access grade-appropriate content, text, and vocabulary. This will be a multi-year effort where small groups of teachers at each of our secondary schools across all content areas will receive training and support. We're looking at this training and support as mentoring, not coaching. So we're flipping the model. I do have one more thing to add, even though the art show is not. I do want to add that MCAS testing has begun in grades 3 through 8. One of the lessons we learned last year was that we have a technology infrastructure that allows us to test multiple grades at the same time. This change allows us to reduce our testing schedule to 6 sessions per school. Most students will only have 4 sessions, and then grades 5 and 8 will have 2 additional for science. This increases students' instructional time prior to the test. So we're very excited about this. This is the first time we're attempting this, but it went well, day 1. Sorry.
So it was a bandwidth issue before, but
We were concerned
Yeah.
about the infrastructure. We did increase the bandwidth
Yeah.
last year when we had so many students remote.
Yeah.
And then we have all the devices without a doubt for every student in the district so that we can do MCAS and we can then do the MAP testing as well and start that next month for the younger students, and then 3 through 8 as well.
Great, thanks.
Any questions from the committee? Questions from the committee? Seeing none. Minutes of March 8th.
Motion to accept as presented.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Minutes of March 22nd.
Motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Public participation. Any public participation? Patty, get up and say something.
Something.
Any public participation? Seeing none. New Marlborough High School scholarships.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we just want to give some background. Each year, several families or companies contact the high school indicating their desire to establish yearly scholarships for the benefits of the graduates of Marlborough High School. We have 7 offers to set these up as annual awards. The Ianni family, George and David, are awarding $50,000 annually. The Luftig family will be awarding $1,000 annually. Please see the attached sheet for more details and information, which Patty gave you the scholarship offerings in order for the school committee. The recommendation is that the school committee accepts the generous offers listed, so our graduates will be able to receive these scholarships at the June 2022 graduation. And on the next page, there is a listing of the title, the description, and the dollar amount of the scholarships.
Motion to accept with gratitude.
Motion made and seconded to accept the scholarships. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. MOAs.
Would you like me to?
Yeah,
Okay.
please.
Mr. Mayor, before the committee tonight, we have several MOUs and MOAs, which are a memorandum of understanding and a memorandum of agreement between the school committee and several of our collective bargaining groups. The first is the memorandum of understanding between the Marlborough School Committee and AFSCME AFL-CIO, State Council 93, Local 1709, custodians and house workers. This is for a 3-year contract, which is effective July 1, 2022, and goes through June 30th, 2025. This was reviewed in executive session, and it was approved and brought to the floor for approval.
Motion to accept the MOU with,
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Mr. Mayor, the next is a memorandum of understanding between the Marlborough School Committee and the Behavior Technicians, SEIU, Local 888. This is again for a successor agreement from July 1, 2021 through June 30th, 2022, and then
24.
beyond that, July 1, 2021 through June 30th, 2024. We had established a 1-year contract with the behavior techs. This reopened that contract to finish the discussions after a joint study. The contract was reviewed in executive session, was approved, and was brought to the floor.
motion to approve?
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Mr. Mayor, the next is a memorandum of agreement between the Marlborough School Committee and the Marlborough Educator Association. The contract between the school committee and the MEA is in place through August 2024. After discussions in the executive session, we are asking for approve the agreement for a one-time payment between the school committee and the Marlborough Educator Association.
Motion to approve?
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries.
The next agreement is the memorandum of agreement between the Marlborough School Committee and the Marlborough School Administrator Association. The contract is in place with the Marlborough School Administration through July 2024. And again, after discussion in executive session, we're asking the school committee to approve the agreement for a one-time payment for the school administrators.
Motion to approve?
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries.
The next is a memorandum of agreement between the Marlborough School Committee and the Marlborough School Administrative Office Support Association. There is a contract in place through June 30th, 2024. This one-time payment was discussed in executive session, and they're asking for a vote to approve this one-time payment.
Motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The last is a memorandum of agreement between the Marlborough School Committee and the paraeducators, SEIU Local 888. There is a contract in place through June 30th, 2024. After discussion and approval in the executive session, we're asking the school committee vote to approve this one-time payment to the paraeducator group.
Motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Policies for review. The policy queen is not here. But these are all for first reading, and we'll be taking them up at the next meeting.
Yes.
So motion to place on the table for review.
Any discussion? Thank you very much, and we'll have those on the next agenda. Superintendent search.
It's me.
You?
It's me.
All right. Mrs. Ryan.
So the superintendent search committee screened 23 applications and interviewed 9 candidates. Tonight I deliver as chair of the superintendent search committee 4 successful candidates who were unanimously chosen to recommend as finalists for the school committee's consideration. The 4 names are Michael Baldassari, who is the current assistant superintendent for student services for the city of Woburn Public Schools; Mary Murphy, who is the current assistant superintendent for teaching and learning for the Marlborough Public Schools; Nan Skiff Murphy, who is the current assistant superintendent of teaching and learning in the Marblehead Public Schools; and Dr. Timothy Sipple, who is the current manager of instruction in school leadership at the secondary level for the Worcester Public Schools. So I would like to make a motion to accept the slate of the 4 finalists from the Superintendent Search Committee. Is that what I say?
Motion made and seconded to approve the slate and move it forward. Any discussion? Any discussion? Ms. Matthews?
I just have a question regarding the candidates, because I know that there was a lot of districts in search. Do we know if any of these candidates are running anywhere else and are up for consideration elsewhere, so that there's a possibility they may not?
They are.
Okay,
Some of them are finalists in other districts.
okay. So time is of the essence, in other words.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on the motion to approve? All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Thank you very much.
Wait, she's not
So
done.
the next order of business,
There's more?
there's more,
But wait.
is to schedule finalists to come into the Marlborough Public Schools for a full day of touring our schools, meeting staff, community members, and school committee members, and a final interview with the full school committee in the evening. In the packet, there is schedules, which will be staggered with 2 candidates invited on each day. Those days have been determined to be April 27th and May 2nd. Staff and the public will be invited to meet the candidates and will have an opportunity to ask questions. So there is a draft schedule in the school committee packet. Do we need to vote on that schedule, or do we need to discuss the schedule, or?
You said it.
Well, it was a draft schedule, so is everybody okay with the schedule?
I have a question.
Okay.
On the, it's the same on the second day as it is on the first day. There's 2 candidates and you
Yes.
staggered what they're doing.
Right, they're kind of like,
Yeah, so they're not in the same.
yeah.
But so let's say, for instance, on the Wednesday, the 27th, at 5:30, I'm sorry, at 6:30, candidate 1 has dinner with the full school committee. But then at 6:30 that same day, the other candidate has a reception with who and why does one candidate versus the other get it?
So, my understanding, if I'm looking at it correctly, so one candidate has dinner with us, the other candidate has lunch with us.
Okay.
But while one's having dinner with us, so both candidates are meeting, have a reception at the Little Theater, but the times are different. So somebody, I guess, probably Patty is hosting them at the Little Theater.
Got it.
It's just not us. So, and everybody, as will have like an exit ticket where they're filling out like their thoughts. So we will get that information. Since we aren't able to be there, we will get that information after.
Where are we having the interviews?
The interviews will be here. We haven't determined dinner yet, since it's kind of a short time frame. We'll have to discuss that detail.
I'm partial to McDonald's.
Yeah.
It's quick.
Since we only have an hour, it's going to
Yeah.
have to be somewhere quick.
All candidates will just want to race right over here with
We're all gonna
that
wanna-
invitation.
Fillet of fish.
Two,
Big Mac.
please. Any other questions?
And the schedule can be, tweaked a little bit as it gets a little closer too, I guess. But this is the general format.
Any other questions?
Do we, so should we all let you know whether or not we're available during these times? Like, who's coordinating? Who's herding these
Ask
kittens?
that question. How are we to,
So there are times where there's one or two school committee members asked to be at certain places. Should we have them email Michelle or I, or Michelle want to coordinate, or you want me to coordinate? What makes more, or should we email you? What works best, Patty?
Want to send them to Patty? It's up to you guys.
What do you want to do, Michelle?
It makes, I'm happy to accept them, or you can. It doesn't
matter to me either.
It doesn't matter to me. So I know some people have work obligations that may or may not allow them to attend some of the daytime
I have
things.
afternoons available, so I made myself available for both afternoons.
Okay, so somebody just has to coordinate it, so,
Maybe we should email Patty. Maybe, do you mind coordinating it?
do you have the time for that? Just have a spreadsheet and plug people in? Okay, so go through the calendar, the things, and if you want to attend, just let her know.
Just let her know when we're available and let her plug in if she needs, or how do you want to do
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
Yes, we'll work it out between Patty and, I guess, Michelle and I
Okay.
will figure it out. Does that make a little sense?
Sure.
Okay. And then the last thing is for the interviews that we'll be doing at the end of these days, we need 2 or 3 questions from each committee member. So I will send out a list of sample questions. If there's 2 or 3 questions that you'd like to ask, if you could send them to Michelle, Michelle and I will review them, because I know what questions we've already asked. And then we'll compile a list so that at the interviews for the 4 candidates, we'll ask the same questions of each candidate. Generally around 6 to 8 questions from each candidate.
with follow-up?
And we can, yes, there'll be follow-up questions to each candidate as well. We're not limited to just those questions.
Okay, so if we get your list of questions and we have a burning question that's not on your
Right.
list, we can recommend
Absolutely.
questions of our own?
Yes,
Okay. Okay. And those are coming to me.
yes.
Any other questions? Any other questions?
We don't have to vote on the process, that's
Nope.
all.
Chair
Accept the
determines the
process.
process. Good?
Good? Good.
Okay.
Everybody good? Any other questions?
Thank you very much. I know there was a lot of time involved with
Yes.
you and the rest of the team, so thank you for all the time you've put into it.
Thank you, Patty. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you to the
Patty.
team, and Dan and Denise.
Acceptance
Yeah.
of donations and gifts. Avidia Bank, MHS Senior All-Nighter, $100.
Motion to accept.
Motion made and seconded to accept. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. UMass Memorial Hospital, MHS Senior All-Nighter, $100.
Motion to accept.
Motion made and seconded to accept. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Doctor Classroom, DFCU, Richard School, Mrs. McCain, $613.
Motion to accept.
Motion made and seconded to accept. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Reports of committees. Any reports? You don't have a committee.
I don't, Mr. Mayor. I was just wondering if I could just notify the school committee of a meeting I'll be at this week.
Fantastic.
I will be at the finance meeting for the city council on Thursday. They've asked me to come to speak about the SOI. I apologize, I should have put it in here, but I forgot my notes.
Not an issue.
Thursday. What time is that meeting?
The meeting's at 6:30.
Any other committees? Members forum. Mr. Matthews.
I have reviewed and signed the warrant.
Fantastic. We will pay our bills.
Yes, you will.
Anyone else? This is Ryan.
Just a bravo to all involved in the production of The Addams Family. It was phenomenal, and I'm impressed at every musical we go to at how talented everybody is, from the sets to the lights to like everything involved in it is just so impressive. So kudos to all.
I have to
Thank you.
agree as well, and I also think it was the other time this week I got a chance to go back in time to when I used to do that, and it was great. It was two great opportunities to see a bunch of really great, talented kids in action. It really was.
Any other members? Any other members?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Thank you very much.